Now, in the previous videos, we were looking at creating a drop-down list using data validation so that instead of people typing the names of my cakes in, they can pick them from the list. And the list we created is a little price list over here. So it means that people now can't type in a misspelling or add an extra space or something, which in terms of my pivot table is going to be really helpful. But the next stage is I want to control this cost per unit column. In the previous video, you'd have had to type the cost in each time. And if you only got 4 or 5 products, that's not such a big deal. But once you've got 100 products, that's quite a lot of work. So what I want to do this time is, now I know these names are completely accurate because of the data validation, I want it to look at the product name here, go find it in my price list, and then return whatever unit price I've put in this column over here. So I've already set this up as format as table. So you'll see you get this nice formatting, but it also affects the behavior of the formula quite considerably as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in this column a formula called XLOOKUP. Now, for years and years and years, people used a formula called VLOOKUP, and the V is for vertical, in that it looks at the names in this column and then it moves along and returns the value from the next column and so on. Now, there is a newer function than VLOOKUP called XLOOKUP, which I think is better. If you already know VLOOKUP, you can use a VLOOKUP at this point. If you don't already know VLOOKUP, you may as well dive straight into an XLOOKUP because it's got a little bit of additional functionality. What I'm going to do is go to the Formulas tab, and there's a whole section on lookup and reference, and I'm scooting down right down the bottom somewhere. There is XLOOKUP. And the lookup value is the value that I want to compare with my table. So in my case, it's going to be the product name. In reality, this would probably be a product code because you might have several different types of carrot cake. But for simplicity, we'll use the product name. The lookup array is where in the table would you find the name carrot cake. So if I go to my price list tab, it's this first column, column A, that contains the product name. The return array is saying in that table, what information do you want? Where's the column that contains the information that you want? In my case, there's only 2 columns in my table, and the return array is going to be the price, but this table could have 50 columns in it, and you can just choose whichever column is relevant. One of the nice things about XLOOKUP that VLOOKUP didn't have is an option called if not found. So because it's looking for an exact match on the name of the product, if it can't find it, what do you want to happen? And normally what would happen with the VLOOKUP is you get an N/A message appearing, which basically meant it couldn't find an exact match on that data. So what we're going to do in XLOOKUP is we're going to put in a little message. Let's say, I don't know, check spelling or something, because probably the reason, actually no, I won't say check spelling because we know that they're spelled correct. We'll say check price list table, because probably it means that product doesn't exist on the price list table, I would imagine. Now, there are some other options which I won't go into at this point, but if you scoot down here, you can see that XLOOKUP have got an extra match mode and search mode functionality, which makes it a little bit cleverer than a traditional VLOOKUP. But we don't need those for this example, so I'm not going to worry about it at this stage. When I say OK, can you see suddenly all of my prices have filled in, and I already had a formula in the total cost that multiplied the cost per unit by the quantity, so you can see that filled in instantly as well. And apart from the fact that obviously that's very much quicker than manually going in and looking for each price, what it means is if I change the prices in the future, the whole table will update automatically. So can you see at the moment all my carrot cakes are £2.78. What I'm going to do is go to my price list and say I've put the price of carrot cake up to £3, and I'll just change it in my price list table. And when I go back to this table. I don't need to refresh it or do anything clever with it. Just everywhere it's found carrot cake, it's updated the cost per unit to £3. Now, come back to the next video because I'm going to do something slightly more sophisticated in that with this one, we only had one drop-down list for product. I'm going to create a drop-down list for clients, but let's suppose that the client has several bakeries. So I want to choose the name of the client and then I want to choose the location based on which client I chose. We're going to use something called data validation with indirect. Come back for that next video and I'll show you how that works.